What's up, everybody? Nick Ridgewire back with you for the 10th inning, giving you another edition of This Day in Sports History. In yesterday's episode, we saw Mike Schmidt surpass Jimmy Foxx with his 535th career home run, putting him into sole possession of 8th place on the all-time home run list. We don't have anything like that today, but we do have some more home runs. We have some more Stanley Cup final trophies. We even have some boxing in there. If you're new to the channel and like what you see, hit that subscribe button down there. If y'all liked the video, leave a like on it for me. Comment what you think about this video. And without further ado, let's get into it. This Day in Sports History. Starting out in 1891, you have boxers Peter Jackson going up against Jim Corbett. Fights lasted a lot longer back then, and this one was one of the same. This fight lasted 61 rounds, and it ended in a draw. Now, Jackson actually ended up breaking his ribs somewhere in between the 20th and 25th rounds of the fight. He didn't let anyone know, though. He kept going. After the 25th round, until the 61st round, it was kind of a, well, these guys are obviously too tired to keep going. No one really got any big blows there. Therefore, it ended in a draw. Now, this is not even close to the longest boxing match in history. The longest boxing match actually lasted 7 hours and 10 minutes. That was not this one. Moving up to 1904, FIFA is formed. Now, FIFA was originally formed in Paris to oversee competitions of 8 countries. Well, today, it's grown so much, I think it's pretty safe to say it's the largest association within the world for sports. It's the largest sport in the world. No matter what you say if you're an American, well, football is bigger. The real football is bigger. No, FIFA is by far the largest sport operation in the world, and football or soccer is one of the most, if not the most, popular sport throughout all the world. Today, they now oversee more than 211 national associations, and they are responsible for hosting the tournaments such as the World Cups. Moving to 1922, and you have the people who actually bought Babe Ruth from the Boston Red Sox. Cole Ruppert buys out Cole Houston interest in the New York Yankees to become the sole owner of the Yankees for $1.5 million. Move that to today's money, that's about $22.5 million. So, cost them a pretty penny to get sole possession, but I think it was worth it. They were one of the best franchises in the 1920s, continue to be one of the most storied franchises in MLB history. Sticking with the Yankees, in 1930, Babe Ruth blasts 3 consecutive home runs in the game against the Philadelphia Athletics. The Athletics ended up winning 15-6 that game, but Babe Ruth hit 3 consecutive home runs, one of them off future Hall of Famer Lefty Grove. Moving up to 1938, Don Bradman, his name is here, once again, the cricket legend. Over a 3-day match, on the first day, he scored 143 runs in Australia's Tour of England. Then in 1943, you had the fastest MLB game ever. A fast MLB game? Sign me up for that. The game with the Chicago White Sox and the Washington Senators lasted 89 minutes. That's less than an hour and a half. Okay, it's only 1 minute less than an hour and a half. But today's games, they last for 3 hours, 3.5 hours. A 1.5 hour game? That was short for back then. I mean, today we would take a 2-hour game. I couldn't imagine a 1.5 hour game. The game ended 1-0, but it's not like there were no hits or anything. Johnny Humphreys was the pitcher for the White Sox. 9 innings pitched, 3 hits allowed, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. For the Senators, Dutch Leonard on the mound, 7 innings pitched, 9 hits allowed, 1 run, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. And then Mickey Hafner came in, 1 inning pitched, no hits, no runs, no walks, no strikeouts. All of that accumulated to form a 1.5 hour long baseball game. I think everyone as an MLB fan, even if you're not an MLB fan, and this might be why, it might be a little too long for you. They need to find some way to shorten it. The rules that Manfred are doing, I don't think you're going to fix anything. We don't need an 1.5 hour long game like this is, but we need something. In 1966, the second matchup between Muhammad Ali and Henry Cooper, Ali gets a technical knockout in 6 rounds over Cooper due to a cut over Cooper's eye that just continued to bleed, wouldn't stop. This was Ali's second victory against Cooper, and this would be the last match he would have against Cooper. In 1969, at the 9th European Cup Winners' Cup, Slovan Bratislava of Czechoslovakia wins 3-2 against FC Barcelona, with Jan Kopkovic scoring the game-winning goal in the 42nd minute for Bratislava. Then in 1971, at the 11th European Cup Winners' Cup, you have Chelsea going up against Real Madrid. This was the second game of the championship. There needed to be a replay because after the first game, it was 1-1. Going into extra time. No one scored in extra time, so we get a replay. In the second game for Chelsea, John Dempsey and Peter Osgood scored goals in the 33rd and the 39th minute respectively. Real Madrid tried to make a little bit of a comeback with Sebastian Fleita scoring a goal in the 75th minute, but it just wasn't enough for Madrid on that day. Chelsea ended up winning the championship. Going to 1977, 4 years after the greatest racehorse of all time won the Triple Crown, you have another Triple Crown winner, Seattle Slew. Seattle Slew takes the 102nd Preakness with a time of 1 minute 54.4 seconds. Moving to 1979, you have the Stanley Cup Finals, and if you want to read more about it, click the link in the description. The Montreal Canadians are going up against the New York Rangers. Montreal Canadians have a dynasty at this time. They've made it to 4 consecutive Stanley Cup Finals. They're going for their 4th consecutive win. Well, that's exactly what happens. They defeat the New York Rangers 4-1 for a 4-1 series victory in 5 games. Sticking with hockey, in the 1981 Stanley Cup Finals, you have the New York Islanders, who are going for their 2nd consecutive NHL championship, going up against the Minnesota North Stars. The Islanders are up 3-1. They only need 1 more game to win. And after the first period, the Islanders go up 3-1 with Butch Goring scoring twice in the first period. Then they added 2 more goals throughout the game, winning the game 5-1, winning the series and their 2nd consecutive Stanley Cup 4-1. In 1989, during the LPGA Championship at Jack Nicklaus Golf Course, Nancy Lopez wins her 3rd LPGA Championship, 3 strokes ahead of the next closest, Ayako Okamoto. In 1997, doesn't matter what you say about the guy. Well, he was a steroid user. He wasn't a steroid user. He was a steroid user. Blue Jays pitcher Roger Clemens wins his 200th game going up against the New York Yankees. Clemens ended up pitching 8 innings, allowing 4 hits, 1 run with 3 walks, 12 strikeouts in the 4-1 victory, with Mike Timlin getting the save for the Blue Jays. In 2001, during the NHL Western Conference Finals, the Colorado Avalanche were going up against the St. Louis Blues. The Avalanche were up 3-1 in the series, looking to close out the series, move on to the Stanley Cup Final. That's exactly what they did. They ended up defeating the Blues 2-1 in overtime, with Joe Sakic making the final goal in overtime, sending them to the Stanley Cup Finals. Moving to 2005, the FA Cup Final pits Arsenal against Manchester United. And, well, Arsenal defeated Man U 5-4 on penalties after a 0-0 game. And Patrick Vieira scored the winning penalty shot for Arsenal to put them over the top against Man U. In 2006, the Swedish national ice hockey team becomes the first nation to hold both the world and Olympic titles separately in the same year by shutting out the Czech Republic 4-0 to win the World Championship. In 2008, during the UEFA Champions League final, you had history made. This was the first All-England final, pitted Manchester United going up against Chelsea. And just like 3 years prior for Man U, they also ended up going to penalties in this game. This time, though, was a little bit different. They ended up winning 6-5 on penalties. After the game, the score was tied 1-1, with Ronaldo scoring for Man U and Frank Lampard scoring for Chelsea. After extra time, they went into penalty kicks, and Man U ended up winning, and this was the 40th anniversary of Manchester United's first European Cup, and now they added a UEFA Champions League Final Cup. In 2016, at the FA Cup Final, Manchester United ended up defeating Crystal Palace 2-1, with Jesse Lingard scoring the 110th minute game winner. And then finally in 2017, at the IPL Cricket Final, the Mumbai Indians defeated the Rising Pune Supergiant by 1 run to give the Indians another championship in their history. So there you have it. That's what happened on this day in history. Let me know down in the comment section what interested you the most. Was there anything I missed out on? Let me know. But for Nico Dwyer and the 10th inning, stay safe everyone. See ya.